Boys, what is up? It is your boy D, and this is DeezCards. Today, we are going to be doing another deck profile. The last one I did was a Shadal one, so if you missed that one, check it out. I have a card here. Now, let's talk about what's for dinner. Yeah, that's right. Dinos seem to be everywhere. Team Samurai X1, I suppose, is the man who deserves credit for making dinos popular, winning the remote regional, and getting them on the map. Now there are dinos popping up in multiple online tournaments, and they're seeing quite a bit of representation. I opened up the 3 dinosaur structure decks a while back. You can check that opening out if you'd like. We're going to be doing just the 3 structure decks. Now, dinosaurs typically want to go second because you have the boss monster, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. This boy right here is sick. He really is. I mean, with this deck, it's just the 3 structure decks. I have cheesed some serious wins. Now, I will say, you definitely want to build this out a little bit, but this will give you a nice head start into learning the mechanics of dinosaurs, and honestly, you can win some games. Now, boys, if you are here, you are one of these boys. Go to your fridge, grab a beverage of your choosing. Today, we got a little Bombay Sapphire and some ginger ale. Have a drink with me and go through this deck profile. No better way to start than with the true GOAT of this deck profile. I mean, I'm running 3 copies of this boy, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. His effect is crazy. You have to destroy one of your dinosaur monsters to flip all of your opponent's monsters face down. Once we get to the baby monsters, you'll see that that actually generates advantage for you. Then it can attack your opponent's monsters. I guess I'll hold it up. Then it can attack all of your opponent's monsters one by one before damage calculation, or at the start of damage calculation. You can destroy it and just inflict a straight 1000 damage to your opponent. This guy wipes boards. It's ridiculous. It literally wipes boards. With your opponent having a fully stacked board and another monster on the field, you can easily OTK with this build. Then we got the soul-eating Oviraptor. I mean, he is the main combo starter. Normal or special summon lets you search any dinosaur type monster from your deck, and you can add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. It's a 2-for-1, plus it can recycle monsters out from your graveyard, destroying something to bring something back. Once we get to the babies, you'll see, if you are not familiar with dinosaurs, you'll see why that is actually just so good and so important. One of the big targets I find myself searching, and I think you will find yourself searching as well, is the Miscellaneousaurus. This guy, discarded from your hand to the graveyard, provides protection from effects for all of your dino boys, all them nuggets. Now that is really crazy, and it has another effect to banish itself and monsters from your graveyard to special summon from the deck, which lets you do some pretty interesting things. Now, I will say that the main engine for this deck is really concise, so I had trouble filling this deck with 40 cards. So we got the babies. We got the baby Ceratosaurus. So when this card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you get to special summon a level 4 or lower dinosaur monster from your deck. So you'll see with the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, to trigger its effect, you want to destroy your babies, get more advantage off of that. You're flipping all of your opponent's monsters face down, and you're able to attack over everything. So 3 of them. I'm playing 2 of these as well, which maybe is too many babies, to be honest with you. However, the structure deck doesn't come with a whole lot of cards conducive to going second and OTKing. That's the build that I tried to make the best, was a going second OTK deck or a board wiping deck. And there's just a lot of cards in the structure deck that really are counterintuitive to that and try to do things that I'm not really a fan of. But I got 3 baby Ceratosaurus and 2 Petite Pterodon. Now this card I play less of because it has the drawback of not being able to attack with the monster the turn you summon it. So if you're going for an OTK, you probably want to pop the baby Ceratosaurus so you can attack everything with the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno and then get in there with an extra attack, hopefully just finish them off. Then we got 3 Lost World. This thing puts a token on your opponent's side of the field whenever you summon a dinosaur. It's a normal monster, so you get 2 effects off of this guy. Once they have a token on their side of the field, they can't target any monsters on the field except for tokens with effects. So that it puts a pretty good lock. It gives all of your monsters non-targeting protection, essentially. What it also can do is, when you go to attack over that token during the battle phase, you can choose to pop a baby in your deck instead and get more advantage off of that. So that's a pretty awesome card. And the attack decrease on your opponent is pretty significant as well. I mean, it's a nice little bonus at least. You play in some big attack monsters, so whatever. You don't necessarily need it, but it's nice. We got a copy of Terraforming in here. It's just another copy of Lost World, because you want to see that as much as possible. Then we got 3 copies of Fossil Dig. It can be any level 6 or lower dinosaur. Most often it is soul-eating Oviraptor. Sometimes it's Miscellaneousaurus, sometimes it's a baby to fit your needs, but usually it's soul-eating Oviraptor. Now I'm playing 3 of this guy, Gillosaurus. The fact that your opponent gets a special summon from your graveyard off of it is a drawback for sure. If you can get Ultimate Conductor Tyranno and flip everything to face down, it doesn't really matter that they special summon from the graveyard because you're going to wipe their board anyway. I'm playing 1 copy of Superconductor Tyranno. I don't think that this is the best card in the deck. I don't play any of the other boss monsters. I messed around with the Ancient Fairy Dragon that comes in the structure deck because it has the effect to draw cards when dinos are special summoned from the graveyard, but I couldn't really find a way to pull that off too often, so I'm playing this guy to special off Petite Pterodon because it has the highest attack out of any of the boss monsters. The other one, the Ultimate Tyranno, actually I feel like is a drawback when you summon it because then you can only attack with that, and that's not what you want. So the fact that you can special this with Petite Pterodon, it can't attack the turn it's summoned, but it can still use its effect to tribute a monster. Unfortunately, it doesn't destroy, so you can't pop your babies and get advantage off of that. But you can inflict 1,000 damage, and sometimes that is just what you need to end the game. So I got 1 of those in there. Then I play 1 Tyranno Infinity. I would also say that this is a Garnet, maybe a Tacky Tomborg, meaning you don't want to see it in your hand, because the way that I've done the best with this card is to activate Miscellaneousaurus's secondary effect, banishing it and 3 other monsters from the graveyard in order to special this guy from the deck directly. Don't have to use your normal summon, and then it's a 4,000 attack beat stick, which when you have, again, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno on the board, it's just another 4k to get in and attack your opponent direct. So if you haven't noticed yet, the main guy that you want on the board is the biggest nugget of them all. You want Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, you want to flip all their monsters face down. Luckily, there's a lot of ways to search it, and I haven't had too many games where I couldn't get it out fast. Now again, I wouldn't necessarily play this guy in the deck. There's 2 things that the structure deck tries to do a lot of, and that is token generation on your opponent's field and normal monster shenanigans. Both, I think, because of Lost World's 2 effects. Now, there's, in my opinion, way too many cards surrounding both of those things, and that's why it's kind of hard to build a deck. I mean, your main engine is these guys here in the first 2 rows, and then everything else is kind of like just fill in the space. You can play a lot of hand traps in a more well built out deck, but we don't have that with the 3 structure decks. However, I think that having 1 normal monster is okay. If you're going first, I would say, and you have Lost World and maybe nothing else, this in your hand, you summon it and then it's protected, or you can pop a baby once your opponent tries to attack it. It has protection in that way. So I play 1 of these. I don't play much of the other normal monster type support that they try to fill the pack with. So I got 1 of those. Now we're getting into the, I guess, just staple support cards, whatever you want to call it. I'm playing 3 Swords of Concealing Light. People are actually afraid of this card. I mean, sometimes I even have to bait other cards like Terraforming so that I can resolve this card. Flipping all of your opponent's monsters face down is good, even if you don't have Ultimate Conductor Tyranno to take advantage of that. I mean, you flip Borreload Savage Dragon face down, it loses the equip, it loses the attack boost, it loses the tokens, it stops the Omni Negate, and that card is terrifying. So Swords of Concealing Light is an interesting tech option that people seem to be kind of afraid of when you play against them online. We're running 3 Twin Twisters. This card is good because you get to pitch a card to the graveyard. One of the major drawbacks I've seen with this deck is getting the resources on your first turn to the graveyard in order to special summon Ultimate Conductor Tyranno going second. So this is just another way to pitch a card to the graveyard, a dinosaur monster, and you get to remove your opponent's back row or field spells going second, which isn't ever a bad thing. So we got 3 Twin Twisters. Now, talk about cards that have performed better than I thought. When I put this in here, I thought it was going to be a brick and a half, and I was going to take it out and revise the deck. But this card has come in clutch in a couple of situations where I summon Ultimate Conductor Tyranno using 2 monsters from the graveyard. Then I put them right back in the graveyard, Miscellaneousaurus being one of them, and I banish 4, then I get the Tyranno Infinity out on the board and I just get an additional 4K beat stick. So this card has actually worked out pretty well. It also will come up in situations where you just don't have dinosaur monsters, maybe a mid-late game. You have 2 banished from an earlier Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, and you get to recycle those back to the graveyard for summoning 1 late in the game. Now I'm playing 3 Grand Horn of Heaven. The deck also comes with Quaking Mirror Force. I'm not sure which would be better yet. The reason being, Grand Horn of Heaven has a really small timing activation. This card can't be activated in a chain, meaning when they activate a fusion spell, Monster Reborn, a Rocket Tracer type effect that's a quick effect and it starts a chain, you cannot respond with Grand Horn of Heaven in those situations. You can only activate it for like inherent special summoning like XEs, Synchro, Link summoning. But that being said, it has come up a few times where this has won me the game because I wiped the board with Ultimate. I wasn't able to finish with an OTK. I was able to set this. They start comboing off again. They go into their Link 3 or Link 4. I activate this, shuts them down. They're out of resources. They surrender, they scoop, or I'm able to just come in for the kill on my next turn. So Quaking Mirror Force is potentially what I'm playing instead, but it's done okay. Now I'm playing 2 Fossil Excavation. This card has actually won me the game a couple of times, where I was able to just get one of my bigger beat sticks back from the graveyard. Unfortunately, it negates the effect of the monster, but the structure deck doesn't come with Monster Reborn. It's not terrible. It's won me a game or 2. I like this card, at least for now. Alright boys, I hope you enjoyed my Dinosaur Chicken Nugget profile. This was the $30 edition using only cards from the structure deck. If you like this video, make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe, make sure you come back for the better deck profile with cards outside of the structure deck. Let me know your thoughts below. What cards you would change, anything you liked, what you didn't like. I think this is a really good deck for you just to get started playing dinosaurs and to learn the engine. You could take out pretty much all the fluff except for the cards in the first 2 rows and replace them with hand traps and staples, draw power, what have you, and I think that deck would be a lot better. Thanks for coming, boys. I will catch you next time. Peace.